What does the bridle contribute to a kite's spinning or lack of spin? That's what we're going to talk about today. And some of this is going to be redundant, I'm sure, for many of you, but if not, you'll like this part, is the bridle itself. I use a 3-point bridle, is what it's called. It attaches to the kite in 3 places. 2 places are right on the bow. The bridle goes through the sail and is attached to the back side of the kite. I have mine attached about 1.5 inches on either side of the center of the spine. The other part, and this line, I call the bridle yoke, or the upper bridle line, this white line here. The black line is the lower bridle line, and it attaches to the upper yoke and then to the lower part of the spine, right here. And then the next part of it is what is called the toe point, or the toe location. And this is where you attach your flying line to the bridle of the kite. Now, to start with, I use lark's head knots on my bridle for each connection. The reason is a lark's head knot is a locking knot. You can lock it so it will not slide on the line it's attached to, and then you can unlock it and reposition it and relock it. This makes it ideal and easy to make fine adjustments, or large adjustments for that matter, on a fighter kite while you're flying and want to make a little adjustment here and there. So in a lark's head knot, it locks onto the lower line is locking onto the upper yoke here. If I want to adjust the kite's direction, I use the upper bridle yoke and lower bridle connection point here. This lark's head knot is what I use. I want it to be equal length on both sides. This is providing that the kite I built is reasonably equal on both sides. Sometimes it isn't, though, because of various things, including my construction, but also the bow material and the sail material. They don't always function exactly the same on both sides of the kite. So to adjust for that, I use this. And to do it, I pull the yoke tight, and that unlocks the lark's head knot and allows me to move it someplace else. And then I pull the lark's head knot to lock it in that position. I'm going to unlock it, move it to where I want it, and then lock it. Now, how does this all contribute to a spin? Well, if this bridle is not, if the connection point here, this lark's head knot, is not centered on the kite spine. Now we're assuming the kite's balanced right to left, but it may not be. The balance on right to left might require this to be moved over a little bit. You're going to have to decide that when you first launch the kite, and then adjust it so the kite flies straight. And this is how you do that, by adjusting this. If the kite flies to the right, you want to move the right-hand side of the line. You want to increase its length. So you just move very little, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, maybe less, and lengthen that right-hand side. And that will minimize the continuing right-hand spin. Now, the bridle can also control whether the kite spins at all, in a different way than the way the spine does. And you use this connection here, the toe point, along the lower bridle line. Its position is what determines that. Now, if the position of this is such that the kite is virtually flat to the wind, in other words, if you were to hold this above the table, the spine would be parallel and the kite would be parallel to the tabletop, or very, very close. The nose would be just slightly elevated, or maybe not. I mean, it depends a little bit on the kite. But when in that position, when you release the kite in the air and you're holding the line, the kite will simply stall and be pushed away from you by the wind, but it won't do anything. And if you pull on the flying line, it might go upward a little bit, it might not, but it's just hovering there. And that stall position is caused by the location of this toe point along the lower bridle. It is a very good way to start getting the kite tuned, because when it's in that position, the kite is not actively moving around in the air and hard to visualize or see. It's a very easy way to begin the process of setting the bridle up for the kite. Once it's in that position, I move this toe point, lark's head knot, towards the nose of the kite about 1/4 of an inch, and then lock it again. And that raises the nose of the kite above the tail. So when the tail of the spine is on the table, the nose of the kite is off the table by, maybe an inch. In that position, the kite will pretty much behave in the same way. It'll be just stationary. But in this case, with it having a little bit of a elevation of the nose over the tail, when you pull on the line, or if the wind gets stronger, the kite will actually move upward. And you continue to move this toe point towards the nose until it reaches the point where it flies the way you want it to fly. And by that I mean, if it's too far forward, and so the nose is really up like this, the kite flight will be very erratic, may not fly. You may not even be able to get it to fly. The kite may be a beautifully flying kite, but just because of this error in the way the bridle's adjusted, it may not fly at all. So it's very good to have a kite that's, to start with, especially when you're just adjusting a new kite, to start with it at the stall or near stall position. And then once it's able to fly upward, when you pull on the line, get that position on the toe point correct, then when you're retrieving your flying line, applying more tension and pressure against the kite's sail, the kite will fly straight. When you release that pressure, the kite will enter into a spin. And the amount of spine bend you have, and the balance of the kite nose to tail will contribute to how it spins and how quickly it enters into a spin. So I hope that's been helpful.